G'day guys, today we're going to be doing an install video on an X series for the full-size loader with MFP. So when you get your loader, this is how you're going to be receiving it. You will have the loader with the bucket already installed, wheels installed. You will receive a right and left subframe, a cross member bar, and a box of bolts and two U-bolts.
Okay, to start, you want to remove the linkage from the hydraulic valve. To do that, you need to remove the hairpins from the bottom and push up. Just rotate them to the back and they'll stay out of the way there. Then take your dust caps and plug them into the couplings. Now take the right side subframe, the side with the big hole in it, and simply line up the square tubing with the square hole in the side of the frame and push through until it's flush with the frame. From there you can install the bolts. All of the bolts, with one exception, gets installed from the back and the nut on the outside of the frame. Note, there is one bolt that has a very thin head that goes on the bottom hole closest to the hydraulic valve. This is for clearance of the linkage to the valve. That bolt gets installed from the outside in. It will be difficult to get in as there is a support piece from the inside of the frame and has a tendency to shift slightly. So it will take a bit of finessing to get it lined up proper. Now let's do the same for the left side. Line up the square tubing with the square hole in the frame and install the 3/4 inch bolt in the front and 1/2 inch bolt in the back. This is the same hole that has a support on the inside and can be difficult to line up proper. Careful to not cross thread or damage the thread on the install. Now that all the bolts are finger tight only, we can install the cross tube. Install from either side and push until you come to the middle. Be sure to check for any obstructions like fuel lines, hydraulic lines, or wires. Careful not to pinch any. You should be able to just slightly move them out of the way without having to reroute anything. From there, you want to take a piece of wood, pipe, anything smaller than the square tubing really, to push the two cross tube inside. You want the cross tube centered in the subframe. With all the pieces lined up, you can now tighten the side bolts. Use a small impact or 1/2 inch wrench. If you want torque values, you can reach out to us directly and we can provide them. Be careful with the thin head bolt not to strip it and over tighten. This is to hold the inside support only. Next, reinstall the valve linkage. You may need to finesse it as it is a tight fit to reinstall. Sometimes uninstalling the rear pin at the top linkage can help with lining up the hole on the front and back together. Don't forget to reinstall the hairpins on the bottom. Once that is complete, you want to take the two U-bolts and install them in the middle of the frame. Facing down, you want them on the smaller of the two tubes. Underneath, you want to install the shackle, lock washer, then the bolt. Tighten and move them as far to the outside as you can while keeping contact with both tubes. Once hand tight and in place, tighten completely. Always go back and ensure no tubes, wires, or hoses are being caught. There, your subframe is now complete and ready for hookup. Simply drive your tractor between the booms. Careful not to catch the hoses on the tire. Line up the towers with the boom. The hoses are color coded with dust caps. Line up the colors and plug in. Using the hydraulic lever, push it forward as if you were to lower the loader. This will curl back the connection until it is tight against the back plate. Simply push down on the latch and you're connected. To uninstall, it's just as easy. Lift up on the latch tower and pull back on the lower hydraulic lever as if you were to raise the loader. This will curl the connection forward. Don't forget to unplug your hoses. To change the bucket, simply remove the two linch pins and lower the boom until the bucket is on the ground. Curl forward and the bucket is free. To reinstall, drive up to the bucket and line up the top connection and curl back. You may need to shake the bucket to have the bottom holes lined up proper. This will be less frequent with use. Install the linch pins.